Continuing our reading in Ragweed and Poppy by Avi, today we have two smaller chapters, Chapter 17 and Chapter 18. Chapter 17, The People. The girl carrying the trap with Poppy inside rushed into the house and set it on the table. Poppy, shocked by what had happened, worked to make herself as small as possible. Even as she did, she couldn't help give a moan that was equal parts disappointment and fear. A human, she thought. It can't get worse. But it did. Within moments, there were 3 humans sitting around the table, and all of them were staring right at Poppy. "What kind of animal is it?" asked the girl, the one who had carried Poppy inside. From inside the trap, Poppy peered out. It was as if this human had a head, but no body because her chin was resting on the table, the better to see her. The girl's smiling face fairly glowed with excitement. "It's a mouse, Susan," said the largest of the humans. He had a low voice, and he did not sound pleased. "Certainly a mouse," said the other human, the middle-sized one. "But we should look it up and find out what kind it is. There are many kinds." "It's so cute," said Susan. "Can I keep it? Can I bring it back home?" "I don't know," said the deep-voiced human. "Most times, sweetheart, people prefer to keep mice outside their homes." "Why?" "I'm afraid they're dirty," he said, "and they carry disease. To tell the truth, I'm not fond of mice." Susan put her face closer to the cage. "This one looks clean and healthy. Anyway, I like mice." "I Googled it," said the middle-sized person. "It's a deer mouse." "Well, we don't have to leave for a few more hours," said the deep-voiced human. "We can decide what to do with it then. The house we're considering is only a short drive around the forest, but we will have to go since I made an appointment. Meanwhile, Susan, if you do keep the mouse, even for an hour or two, you'll have to take care of it, feed it, give it water." "What do deer mice eat?" Famously, cheese." "Do we have any left?" "I think so." "Is it a boy or a girl mouse?" "No idea." "Well, I think it's a girl. Can I take her out of the trap?" Uh, I'm not so sure that's a good idea. Not if you want to keep her. She's likely to run away. "Why?" Animals don't like to be in cages. They want to be free." "Then why did she go into it?" asked Susan. Perhaps she didn't mean to. Then the middle-sized human said, "She could have been fooled. It is a trap. Or maybe she was hungry for the cheese." Sweetheart, I suggest you let it go. Remember, we're renting this place. The people who own it would not appreciate our bringing mice inside. That's probably why they put the trap out." "But I want to keep her. I'm going to name her too. From now on, her name is Spaghetti, my favorite food." That's a nice name. Meanwhile, Poppy turned from one person to the next, trying without success to make sense of what they were saying. She began to think that she was not in any immediate danger, but since she couldn't be sure, she stayed in a corner, watched and listened. The girl stepped away from the table and left the room, only to come back soon with something orange in her hand. She broke it up into little pieces and squeezed them through the holes in the trap. "Food," thought Poppy, and her stomach growled. Not only did the orange stuff look good, it smelled good, too. All the same, she wasn't sure she should eat any. It was coming from humans. She found everything about them scary. The larger humans smiled and then went off. "Enjoy spaghetti," one of them called. "We're going to put the picnic things in the car." They left the room. Poppy had no idea where they went. As for Susan, she rested her chin on her arms and continued to stare at Poppy. "I like you, Spaghetti," she said. Then she whispered, "I don't care what they say. I'm going to keep you." Poppy wished she knew what the girl was saying. Could only stare back. Chapter 18. Basil Sponge. An impatient Ragweed had to wait a while before Basil returned. He better hurry, Ragweed kept thinking. I don't like it here. When Basil did come, he brought along 11 mice, male and female. To Ragweed's eyes, they seemed young and scruffy, not at first glance a bold team. Now line up, commanded Basil. The mice slouched forward and formed a ragged row. None of them were capable of standing still, but constantly shifted their feet and scratched their faces, bellies, and knees, pulled at whiskers, twitched tails, all the while stealing shy, hesitant looks at Ragweed. It was clear that they were not sure they wanted to be there. This, said Basil to the row of mice, is Ragweed. Comes from the other side of the forest, a golden mouse, in case you wanted to know. The thing is, he found Poppy and was kind enough to let us know. As I told you, somehow she got herself caught in a human trap out past the creek, down along Long Meadow, if I understand it. Ragweed here is willing to take us to where she is so we can get her free. Ragweed, this is Daisy, Trefoil, Candytuft, Glory, Catchfly, Asylum, Pansy, Zinnia, Primrose, Rocket, and the other there is Toadfax. Hey, how's it going? Said Ragweed, wondering how he would ever be able to remember the names, though Toadfax stuck in his mind. The 11 mice stared at him quizzically. Can you tell them, Basil said to Ragweed, what we need to do about Poppy? Okay, began Ragweed. It's like Basil said. Poppy is caught in a trap, a human trap. It's all metal and closed at both ends, tight as a turnip. She and I tried to get her out. Couldn't do it. Needs more jaws and paws. Thing is, we need to get her free from out of there before the humans who set the trap do something horrid to her. Are they the same humans who've been coming around here? One of the mice asked Basil. There's a rumor going around that they might be moving in. I don't know. Oh, what kind of nasty things do you think the humans would do to Poppy? Another mouse asked Ragweed. He thought it might be Zinnia. There had been a tremble in her voice. Anything from a total toppling to nothing, said Ragweed. The point is, she's waiting out there for us to free her. And where? Coached Basil. Is she? Okay, sure. First, we have to cross over your orchard, Ragweed pointed, and that little creek, and then we go along what I guess you call Long Meadow. We're not going into Dimwood Forest, are we? Asked Catchfly in a timid voice. Ragweed shook his head. Only across the meadow, but there might be raccoons, snakes, and porcupines. The eyes of the mice became big. Whoa, whispered one of the mice, his face suddenly pale. Raccoons and snakes? He repeated, then rubbed his nose, after which he squeezed his front paws tightly together. And did you say porcupines? Asked another mouse in a shocked voice. I did see one, said Ragweed, but that was in the forest, and I promise we're not going there. There was a tense silence, and Ragweed thought he heard some hard swallowing. Tails visibly swished. A few mice looked at Basil as if asking for reassurance. Was it a big porcupine? Someone finally asked. Not sure, Ragweed replied. He was up in a tree. One of the mice said, Basil, did Longmore give permission for us to go and do this? As Basil shook his head, he said, be better not to tell him. So if you want to back out, now this is the time to do it. But if we're going to save Poppy, as Ragweed said, we need to act quickly. There was silence as each mouse decided whether or not to go. Sure enough, one of the mice suddenly looked up and said, Oh, sorry, Basil. I don't think I'll go. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't feeling well. Still don't. He stepped out of the line and ran back into the house. The remaining 10 mice shuffled their feet. Anyone else? Asked Basil. The mice eyed one another uneasily. Tails quivered, and there was some clearing of throats and a few ear twitches, although nothing more was said. Nor did anyone else leave. Okay, said Basil to Ragweed. Let's go. Follow me, said Ragweed. And with that, he bounced off the steps and headed for the old orchard. While he took the lead, the other mice formed a long ragtag line with Basil at the far end to make sure no one else dropped out. As Ragweed went forward, he glanced back at the mice. This, he thought, is one rotten rescue team. And that's the end of chapter 17 and 18.